First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity of talk about this very relevant theme that's the enabling I4.0 technologies, yeah, in the context of actual situation of the production and the business around the world. And my main target is share the knowledge and making the organizations improve and using these technologies, economies, and helping all the people having more best conditions around the world. Okay, okay. The title of my presentation is Adoption Factors of Enabling I4.0 Technologies and Benefit in the Supply Chain. A short abstract. Around the world in the last years, the Industry 4.0 technologies represent a new paradigm of integration among cyber-physical information and communication solutions, especially in the supply chain, working with a high level of communications and working with information full-time and in the real time. However, this topic has had little exploration in the social science. Yeah? Then they stood through a systematic literature review, presents a framework when you can evaluate the integration among factors of adoption, technologies, and the supply chain benefits. I'm José Carlos, the author, and the Professor Silvia Zilber Turri, the co-author. This belongs to my master work in the Federal University of ABC, São Paulo, Brazil, and take part of my work. And I will go deep dive after this work and the whole of the support management in the context of technology adoption. Just a small introduction, the motivation of this work in three main points. One of them is the technology that is revolutionizing the industry and customer goods again, especially when you can note in the situation of COVID-19 when we have the e-business increasing a lot. In this main point, the supply chain is a main point, because I can say that I would like to buy something and receive in the real time, maybe in the future, but we have work for that. And products are becoming complex systems, combining hardware, data storage, sensors, microprocessors, software, and connectivity in various formats. The Internet of Things, IoT, by Porter, 2014. One other very, very relevant part comes from Rogers, 2003. The adoption of innovation is a complex process, especially when innovation or technology is in question, is incipient. That is our case for a lot of enabling technologies of Industry 4.0. And at least from Turri et al., 2010, the broad possibility of applications for the same technologies is at the same time an incentive, but sometimes an obstacle to its adoption. Okay. Then the main objective of the main target of this work is to identify the main factors that affect the I4.0 technologies adoption, and as well the benefits generated in the supply chain. Given the nature of the novelty of the technology, whose adoption is the object of this study, we decided to work with a systematic literature review. Regarding to the theory, we have adopted four adoption dimensions. It was adopted from the model of Savastano, Bellini, Damasceno, and Marco, 2018. It's adoption by the authors. When you have four main dimensions, we talk about the adoption process: human, organizational, technological, and political markets. And we have worked with three main theories. Yeah, theory of reasonable action, TRA, from Fishburne and Einstein, 1967. The technology model, TAM, an adoption of the theory of the reasonable action, TRA, in in the specific context of organizational information technology as a path and adoption from Adams, 1992, and the theory of planned behavior, TPB. That's an extended of the TRA by introducing perceived behavioral control by Brown and Ventesh, 2005. Okay. The method for the systematic review used the proposed method by Transfield, 2003, yeah, for the plan execution presentation of the results of that. Yeah. This is the structure of our systematic literature review. We have worked in 4 main steps. Step 1, we're working with the keywords. The step 2, research areas. Step 3, research method and in the local content. And step 4, factors, technology, and benefits. We summarize below the results. We have started with the keywords. When you have found 633 articles, we have used the combination of the following keywords: digital and transformation and adoption, I4.0 and adoption, and IoT, supply chain, and supply and chain and adoption. In the second step, we have isolated the area. We have worked with research areas like business management and accounting, economics, econometrics, and finance. Then we have reduced for 93 articles when 3 of them were duplicated. Yeah. And in step 3, we have worked with the third step on subject, research method, and local. And main subject should be adoption. The research method is study cases, research, and literature review in local Brazil and other locals. And we have going to 23 relevant articles. And the fourth criteria moved to 10 relevant articles when we decided to work with relevant articles when the framework had adoption framework, factors, barriers, and benefits, and technologies, IT, and others in the activity sector, manufacturing, transport, and retail. We summarize in the second step how relevant was the articles. These relevant papers, 23 relevant papers, result in 226 citations, and the remaining 74 result in 556 citations. Then about 30% of the articles represented over here 40% of the citations. And here the citations per year, we can note over here how this theme is important since 2016, yeah. And 2020 we had a lot less because we have worked with this work in the beginning of 2020. Okay. Here are some results when you talk about the 4 dimensions that you have decided to work with according to the adaptation of the Saravasa system. Human, when you have found over here employee skills, adopter profile, encouragement used by the others use, perception of easy technology use, and perception of importance of use that you have identified from human. And over here we have the frequency that you have found that in the studies. And you have in the organization, below we have organization, factors in the dimension, organization, absorptive capacity, management support, social capital, acquisition and operation costs, security and privacy, innovation, and digital culture. For political market, we have identified 3 factors: government policies and regulations, market demand, and sector activity. And for the technological dimension, we have found 5 factors: data management quality, research and development of technologies and data management quality, system architecture, integration and compatibility, IT infrastructure, and standards and validations. These were the main picture regarding the four main dimensions that you have worked with and the factors that are inside these dimensions. Over here, what we have worked with, we have prepared the adoption framework that can identify the connection among adopter factors, technologies, and benefits. And we can use that as a guide to decide about the adoption. Yeah? We can see over here below the adoption factors. In the left side, I can see the standard and validations that work, that has a very big weight over here: system architecture, integration and compatibility, security and privacy. This is worked with data and IT. Then I have the basis of that, the government policies and the regulations and IT infrastructure. I can see over here, and I can see over here that IT infrastructure is the basis for the implementation of these enabling technologies. And I can see over here beside the acquisition and operation costs. That's a decisive factor when we talk about the costs, especially for small organizations. Perception of use, how I can identify that these technologies is important and bring values to my organization. Encouragement of use by other uses is the increase of use by the employers or by the organizations. In this increase of use can generate in the others an encouragement by that. Adopters profile, that's really very important. Employee skills, especially for specific technologies. When I have a complex technology, incipient technology, the employees of skills is really very important. Innovation digital culture is another very important point, because we really need a digital culture in organizations. Perception of importance of use, it's another important point. This one with the perception of use, when I can say it's very easy to use, then I use that. And this is very important, and because it will bring values for my work, it will make my job easier and so on. Social capital is really very important. For social capital, I have two moderate factors: management support and absorptive capacity. Absorptive capacity is the capacity to identify the technologies, find value in that, and adapt that for my business. The management support is being a very, very important factor, because I need, we have identified that a lot of steps inside the organizations in order to make the adoption depends on the management support that can clarify and pave the way, can eliminate barriers, can motivate employees, and so on. Yeah? The active sector is another point. We can see that the services and logistics are very connected with the new technologies. The industry for big companies is a little bit in front of the others, but has worked. Market demand is really very important, because if I have a customer in the market that is asking for me technologies, it's a very, very big incentive. Research and development, it's really very important, because I need to stay aware about the technologies. I need to make research, I need to do developments, and of course, data management quality. Yeah? The quality of data, especially for technologies like big data and so on, depends on the data quality. If I do not have a data with a high quality, there is no way to get benefit of the technologies, because I do not generate information and decisions that I can use in my organization to add values. This is the picture of the adoption factors identified in our study. On the technologies, these studies included IoT, big data, RFID, it's a sub-IoT, I can say that, cyber physical systems, especially in the production, in the manufacturing, advanced robots, information communication technologies, the ICTs, and cloud computing. Of course, mainly that process, when I have IoT receiving data, going to big data, working cloud computer, generation information, and so on. And benefits that you have identified over here: integration and collaboration, the increase of the efficiency in the whole supply chain, cost reduction with stocks in the manufacturing, in the supply chain as well, product quality increase to the information, the real-time information, the predictive maintenance, and so on, knowledge transfer. It's a really very important in the supply chain. The order fulfillment with all these technologies, I could have more efficiency, cost reduction, order fulfillment, stability in the supply chain, the increase of competitiveness for the organizations, inventory level, as I have commented over here, and transparency and confidence in the relations. It's another very important point, because if I have with robust information, real-time information, I can make the transparency and make this information very confident. Regarding to the results, this is a summary of the main points: perception of use, perception of ease of use, and the investments in advanced manufacturing technologies directly affect the intention to adopt technologies. The internal external social capital, that's the people that work and how the people can work in teams and how they can add values with that, be mediated by the support of management, as I have commented some seconds ago, in the absorptive capacity, with the exploratory achievement, absorptive more impactful in the adoption process. Yeah, the exploratory is that one that work with the process that are intern, and I have, in this case, I have more incremental innovations than disruptive innovations. If it would be explorative, it would be more connected to disruptive innovations. Yeah? Complex architecture, lack of standards, integration capability, and security are highly volatile and have an impact on each other, which may affect the adoption. Yeah? One depends on the another one, and these four working together with stability can have very good results. Anyway, they are very volatile. Yeah? And IT infrastructure, that's the basis for the integration of the process in their performance. There is no way to start on working with the innovation process or a digital transformation if I do not have a very robust IT infrastructure according to the targets that I have established in my organization. And the benefits of the adoption in organizations impacting costs, efficiency, competitiveness, integration and collaboration, and knowledge transfer in the whole supply chain. Some conclusions to finish my presentation. The identified factors impact directly or indirectly in the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies. All of them as impactors, some of them directly, some of them indirectly. The results present adoption framework. That was our target, and I can say that our target of this, the objective of this work was got. We have got that. Yeah? Results present adoption framework, connect adoption factors, technology, and benefits for supply chain. The model can be easily adapted to work as a tool. I think that it's really very important, because how can use this theory over here and make a tool that you can use in the business. And the model can be easily adapted to work as a tool in the assessment and selection of the technologies. And despite of incipient technologies, factor in the human, organizational, and market political dimensions affect the adoption process. I think it's a very important discussion, because normally when we talk about the incipient technologies, specifically the I4.0 technologies, what seems is that we work with a very complex technology, and some organizations take care only about this technology, these technological factors, yeah? And how complicated is that, what a skill should have my people, and when I can get this training and so on. But they forget about another ones like human perceptions that I have commented over here, the perception of ease of use, the perception of importance of use, continuing being very important factors to have a successful adoption. Organizational, my intellectual capital, my support of management, and market political. I have to stay according to the market political dimensions, and these factors are still very important despite of incipient technologies. And some limitations. It was a broad approach. Of course, we did not go deep dive in one technology, and some of very important technologies of the Industry 4.0 did not take part of our study, like augmented reality, 3D print, and simulations. Then further studies can embrace these technologies and go deep dive in this one or in the other ones that was used and studied in this work. This is my contact information for Professor and Dr. Silvia Novaes as well. And I'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity